have no one around me that's flooding, so keep me away from that pessimist. They told me I signal new top, new floor at dinner, I'm checking the decks again. And I got hard like I'm rich and my money is wizard and I am a testament. Wonder how big is the picture, how deep is the mission, I give you an estimate. And how long you been, I ain't stacking your hits on the chain, I am a veteran. I'm betting on HEXican. 555, money on lock and I'm about to retire. All of this digital money I wired, brand new tuxedo, it cannot be earned. All of this money I made so far, I go get my mama a brand new car. Hop on the moon to a brand new start. All this green is the Amazon. P-Hex, E-Hex, we up next. Look at my life and my life is a flex. I DCA'd and got myself out of debt. So when you see me, give a little respect. Respect, flipping your chart, who's next? Next, the best. We put in the work, no rest. I get my ex on the back end. I get my ex on the back end. I am my ex up back then. All of my ex want the same. I get my ex on the back end. I get my
G'day everybody, welcome to the DeFi Down Under Crypto Happy Hour. My name is Dozza, and yeah, we're going to talk about all things crypto today. It's probably just going to be me, maybe some other guys might pop in later. I might even put the invite in the chat in case anyone, excuse me, wants to come on. But yeah, let's go. There's been heaps going on, there's lots to talk about. So the main thing is, yeah, the Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX case with the SEC has been dismissed. So huge news. I've been on holiday, getting Blotto and Rotto, yeah, to celebrate. But yeah, it's been pretty awesome to see everyone on X just celebrating and just hammering the timeline, you know. So yeah, pretty amazing stuff. And I mean, it's pretty epic as well, because as you would already know, hopefully, it's not just that the SEC dropped the cases like against Richard Hart and the entities of Hex and PulseChain and all that sort of stuff, but it's that the case, the judge actually dismissed it. So that included the allegations of fraud, things like that. So, you know, the judge sort of deemed that if it had gone to trial, that it wouldn't have had, you know, sufficient claim. It would have been dismissed anyway. So it was dismissed on jurisdiction, but the government kind of, so the judge kind of like put the boot in a little bit and sort of said, if this had gone to trial, it would have lost. So I think it was 20 days, it's probably about 15 days now until I think the SEC has an opportunity to like appeal the decision. But considering all of the, you know, Coinbase, Kraken, all the other Robinhood cases, the SEC has just been dropping them like flies. It seems that maybe the regulatory sort of landscape has changed. The US are no longer, you know, I suppose they're trying to minimize wastage, and particularly the SEC doing this regulation by enforcement, and with all the frivolous lawsuits that's been going around, it's just wasting everyone's time and money. So yeah, great result, super stoked. Basically proves that Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX are not securities. You can see them behind me. In the US, well, they're out of that jurisdiction anyway. So wait the 15 days. And I think there's this lull period where the market sort of doesn't know how to react because we're sort of waiting until that 20 days expires for the opportunity to appeal it. I think that's possibly when we'll see, you know, the result a bit more confirmed on the chart. Like there was a bit of a pump, but then it got pulled back a bit, which is to be expected. But yeah, even Ran, I noticed on Crypto Banter, shout out to the Banter fam. He mentioned it the other day. Maybe just, I'm assuming you can hear this. Just let me know if you can't hear it, I guess. I'll just play this.
We cannot ignore what happened over the weekend where the SEC effectively dropped their case against Richard Hart. It just shows that Richard Hart effectively now beat the SEC. There's no real case against him. And actually in the studio today, we were kind of saying, look, we should actually get Richard Hart back on the show here because we've always been friends of his. And I think it's a good idea to actually get him back on the show to actually do a feature. I'll actually reach out to him after the show today. We cannot ignore.
Yeah, so it's even being, you know, covered by other channels and things like that, other major crypto influencers. And like you said, you cannot ignore it. Like it's just, I think it's pretty huge. So yeah, let's see what's up. What's going on in the chat? G'day to Crypto Class. Yeah. If I'm going solo, then it is what it is. So post your questions, what you want me to chat about, and charts as well. Like I haven't been doing a lot of charting because, like I say, I've been on holiday. But I'm happy to pull up some charts. I think we probably should actually very much look at that, see what's going on. Condor Man, what's going on? Got to work in a few minutes. Good morning. Good morning. What is up? Yeah, you got to grind to get those stack those sats, stack those beats and those hearts. Oh, Sandip, what's up? I forgot to say as well, there is, I mean, I've got quite a few notes here, so I thought, like, you know, normally I can just read them while I'm chatting to other people, but it's a bit hard with just by myself. But yeah, so it's not just the SEC case being dismissed. We've also, you know, as a result of that, like we've seen a lot of stuff on the timeline going on in terms of maybe getting a tier 1 exchange to list Pulse or Hex or eHex or PulseX or whatever. So everyone's just been hitting up these exchanges, and it's been hilarious to see. It's epic when you see the HEXicans out in force just on the timeline, just smashing like, and yeah, I might bring it up because even I was doing like a couple of cheeky things as well. Let's just see. I was doing, I think it'd probably be my second latest tweet here. Yeah, so that's fully me live. That's weird to see. Oh yeah, here we go. So this was, oh, this guy's got me with his shilling in the background. But yeah, basically I said at Kraken support, I can't find PulseChain, PLS or Hex on Kraken FX. Are they under spot and margin trading pairs? Please help. So there's been a few like copy pasta versions of this going around where we're effectively kind of saying, and I know Somi had been talking about this as like, shout out to Somi. He had been saying that, you know, this is a great way to kind of just ask a question rather than just shilling a coin and say, you know, buy Hex or buy PulseChain or whatever. You can just ask the questions in other people's comments and sort of go, what's this PulseX buy and burn? Like, how does that work? You know, and so that tends to generate more engagement. People see that and they think, oh, I wonder, what is this that they're talking about? But yeah, the other way is to sort of say, to hit up these exchanges and kind of say, well, there was a full system state fork. So my exchange wallet, my Ethereum wallet, should have all of these copies in it, right? And then you could probably just look at that wallet address on like GoPulse, you know, portfolio, and you'd probably see them there. And then it's like, hang on, how do I access these other tokens? So you're sort of asking the question like, how do I get this? and then it's up to them to be like, oh, well, we have to list them, you know. So, and then, you know, there's other ways as well. I know with CoinSpot in Australia, shout out to, because that was one of the things I just noticed then. I think it was Hex Homes. So shout out to him who sort of brought this up. But there is a register your interest thing on CoinSpot. And so you can just like search for tickers and then say, well, we want you to list this. So I'll put that in the chat as well. But yeah, you just put in your email address or whatever, and to make one up on like Proton. And then I think it's proton.me. Just, yeah. And then you can just sort of register your interest there. I'm pretty sure that was Hex Homes that did it. So I don't want to take credit for that, but it was, yeah, at Hex Homes. So yeah, I retweeted that, and I think a lot of people should do that. And there's heaps of people out there doing this sort of stuff. So a lot of people out there are just, you know, tagging Coinbase, and I mean, we want to get basically tier 1 centralized exchange. So really, it's out of like Kraken and Coinbase, maybe Binance. So there's not really much point, I think, going after these like shit sexes like MEXC. Plus, they rugged us. So fuck those guys. Basically, I don't think we should pursue the MEXC guys again. Like, I think they just scammed. So, but I guess people have to understand Hex on Ethereum was on PoloniX, and I used to use that. So you could create limit orders and things like that. So it's not like, oh, second we get on an exchange. I mean, it was on MEXC. That, you know, the second people might erroneously think that the second we go on an exchange, then it's just like Moontown. But the reality is, it's just an onboarding tool. It's just a way of sort of bypassing the bridge that we've got. So if you're trying to get into PulseChain, if you got to get your ETH, you know, from an exchange, whatever, some other asset, and then bridge it in, it's just a lot easier if you can just go straight from your, like in Australia, like CoinSpot, whatever, Binance, straight from your Binance account, straight to like buy Pulse on chain and on the in the SEX exchange, I should say, and then just send it straight to like your Rabby wallet. And then you've got like gas as well. So that's not an issue. So yeah, really just getting Pulse, I think, on one of these tier 1 exchanges is a good idea. Not so much that, because like I've done this before where, you know, you use an exchange and you say, it's not like you're going to spend all day on this exchange, and obviously not your keys, not your coins. You don't want to like put large amounts of dollars on there. So ideally, you're just using this as like an on ramp, just as an ease of. I mean, you can use Coast if you're in the US. Xerox Coast, shout out to those guys. They're amazing. I think they go through Old Glory Bank. So like that's one way to do it as well. But yeah, people just trust these big exchanges, which is ironic because you probably shouldn't trust them, is the sad thing. And yeah, the other thing is that not only, you know, has everyone just been hammering these exchanges trying to get us listed, there's also the fact that EHEX, as in Hex on Ethereum, has now been re-added to the Uniswap front end. So you could always use the Uniswap like swap router, but it's now on the UI, like it's on the front end. So Uniswap is now no longer gatekeeping Hex on Ethereum, and Matcha as well is also on there. So what is up down here looks like 43, I should say. Oh, it's just a regular bull, no golden bull.
G'day, mate.
G'day, buddy. How you going?
Good, good. How are you?
I was just saying, oh, very well. I was just saying that I actually enjoy using Matcha time to time. I mean, the DeFi Llama Dex aggregator is also pretty cool. And also, I mean, that basically would just 9 times out of 10 would go through CowSwap. So,
Well, shout out to CowSwap, who never faded Hex whatsoever.
exactly.
But I think from a visibility, like from a visibility perspective, having it come up on the Uniswap front end and Matcha, like I think a lot of people use Matcha. I think that's important because it didn't show up, and it actually would come up with something negative as well, which is it's not ideal to have. Like, not only does it not come up, but it says something negative. That's not good. So now that that's gone away, that's a good sign. And I think, I guess they can use the defense that, it was the SEC's action against Richard Hart and the software that was the reason why. But who knows? I mean, I guess they haven't got that excuse anymore, and they were pretty quick in putting it back up.
Yeah, look, so there's 2 things that's interesting there. One is that, like, they burnt us, so I can understand people's initial response is to be like, fuck those guys, like they stitched us, so like you're dead to me and stuff like that. But it's like, do you want to be right, or do you want your bags to go up? So there is a point where you have to kind of go, yes, you may be right that they're not technically decentralized if they're going to just ban us from the front end and gatekeepers and things like that. But at the end, and it's the same with Binance, right? Like, Binance have stitched us on CoinMarketCap for that long, like the position 201, all that stuff. But like, at the end of the day, do I want to be right and have them publicly concede and say that we were right all along and they shouldn't have done it? Yes. But how likely is that to happen? Or is it just better that we just get listed on their exchange, or that we just on the front end?
To accept. I think we have to accept them relisting it as, it's an inbuilt apology. Like, you're not going to get an apology or an admission of wrongdoing. You're just going to get like, okay, it's up again, that's all incorporated. The admission of wrongdoing is incorporated into all of that, and we should just accept it for what it is. And
just take what you're given.
On this whole argument on listing and relisting, I saw that MEXC were wanting us to pay extra to get rid. It's like, in your dreams, buddy.
That's funny, because I was just saying.
It's like a girlfriend.
About turning the other cheek.
Gives you herpes, and then you have to beg her. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you would not go back. You know what I mean? Like, it's what they did is pretty disgusting.
I know. I was just literally saying about like turning the other cheek and like, forgiving or whatever, and just accepting that. But then also about 5 minutes earlier, I was talking about MEXC and saying, fuck those guys, they're dead to me. So because they just went too far. They actually took money. They took money.
That's in bad faith. What they did was like quite literally in bad faith. They took the community's money for 3 months, and then they just said, "Oh no, now you can go fuck yourselves." I think that is in bad faith.
That's an important distinction, right? Like that. So if Uniswap didn't have it on their front end because they were being sued, Hayden Adams and everyone else, and then the SEC case, it's like, shit reason, but okay, I kind of get it. But hang on, we can also still use Uniswap by just interacting with the swap router, the Uniswap like V3 swap router. Like they didn't actually.
Anyone who used ETHHex.com, there's a website called ETHHex.com, which I think now has been taken down, but you can run the software locally, and it uses the Uniswap. I believe it uses the Uniswap router.
Yeah, you could. I'm pretty sure. I mean, they would have to edit their like the AMM.
It's a front end thing. It's a front end.
It's just a front end thing. So people could get around it. So it wasn't such a big deal. I mean, it was, like I say, still a shit move. But this is different. MEXC, they took money, like you say, in good faith, and then they didn't deliver. Then they canned it. I feel like that's like dirty pool. So I don't forgive that. They're the one guys that I want.
If anything, we should just continue to shit on their name as a bad exchange and never to use them. Like, fuck those guys. Like that is quite literally a bad faith thing to do. and have intentional. I guess to me it feels like an intentional fuck you to the community. So fuck them, you know. Like
Yeah, and also the fact that
do you know
that
what's bad for them is that we've got a voice, our community, and
oh yeah,
I'm quite happy even if someone wants to berate me for it, I'm quite happy to call them out. And I didn't even like donate to that. Like people actually donated to get on there. Just imagine how they would feel. Like, you know, they've donated funds to get on the exchange, and the exchange just and what it does it goes to show you that, I mean, any exchange could do that. Like any exchange could do that to us if we raise funds and go to another exchange. So the question is, should they just look? There's no excuse for them not buying in slowly into the market if they want to build up a reserve of any of the RH core tokens. Like they could have bought them at below SAC price for how long now? How long could they have bought Hex at a cent? Like, or how long? It's
Look,
long
I mean,
enough
I've
that
heard
there's no excuse.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I've heard the counter argument. I think it was just as that just some guy is the handle on X, and he said we don't want to have a sex listing until Pulse goes above SAC, because he doesn't want normies to get in a better deal than SAC price. And I was like, yeah, I can see we go with that.
Yeah.
But it is, like you say, the prices are X. You can get in better than a lot of people who actually believed in the system. So yeah, there's really no excuse for these guys. But yeah, and
I don't know about you, but I've used it like these below SAC prices for Pulse and PulseX. I have definitely used it to lower my buy-in average.
Yeah, like, man. Yeah, look,
like
I'll tell you,
I've definitely used it. I know people don't want to hear that, but like, you know, it is what it is. You know, when prices are low, you can use it to your advantage.
But so for context, you know, people may not have been around for that long, but I remember writing the price of Hex basically from about 1.3 cents up to 50 cents last time. And it was like, it happened really quick for starters. And it was one of those things where people who sold, they couldn't get back in, and it just kept going up and up and up. So that sort of stuck in my mind for one. But then once you got up to around about, say, 30, 40 cents, so this is for Hex on Ethereum, you would be buying like tens of thousands of Hex, maybe 100,000 Hex. So you'd buy like $5,000 worth or something, and you might get like not even like, I mean, you could do the numbers, right? But it was not a lot. And so I remember when the price went, it went down to, it was around about 8 cents, and it wicked down to about 4 cents. And everyone was like, holy shit, if you're getting 4-cent Hex, like holy moly. And I remember that Jenkins guy was calling Hex bottom at like 1.8 cents. People were like, these are some crazy good prices. And I always thought, well, 1 million Hex at 1 cent or 1 penny if you're American, and in American dollars is 10 grand. So for 10 grand to get 1 million Hex, like at 1 cent, I just thought, wow, like that would just be an amazing goal to get to. And so if you're sitting here
considering that was $500,000.
Yeah, exactly. So think about being worth $500,000 to just being like worth 10 grand. And you can sit around accumulating at like 1 cent, or, you know, and it's like you're splitting hairs. It's like 1.3 cents, 1.2 cents, 1.4 cents. Like it won't matter when it starts doubling, because the difference between, like, as a percentage move, like from 1 cent to 2 cents, it's the same as 10 cents to 20 cents. But somehow in people's minds, they think that 10 cents to 20 cents is a bigger move. But it's like anywhere in that range, those doublings are going to be crazy good. So yeah, I'm not terribly fussed, like in this range. Like you say,
what are you seeing, like as a general, like, let's just ignore the macro, you know, of what's going on around
we can
crypto,
talk about
because
the Bitcoin strategic reserve is a big thing. I want to talk about that, but yeah.
Yes. No, but I want to ask you the question of,
sure,
what do you see, like, how do you see this, like specifically the Hex? how do you see, and I guess they're all sort of tied together anyway, but how do you see the market playing out over the next like 6 months to a year and a half, like to 6 to 18 months? Like, how do you see it playing out? I want to hear what you have to say, and then I'll let you know how I think it could play out in relation to, but more specifically in relation to Hex, because I'm most interested in the dynamics of like people AESing their stakes to get like
so that's quite complicated. That's a complicated nuance there. But
I don't think I've heard
give you like
your perspective on that. Like I've heard I'm not sure if I've heard yours on that specifically.
So I'll give you a broad view of like what I think is going to happen, but keep in mind this is just pure speculation. So there's a couple of things going on. I guess the 4-year cycle, is sort of primed to peak around the end of October, sort of early November, like for Bitcoin. And then you could argue that Ethereum is going to be pumping during that phase. And then also once Ethereum gets above, say, 5K, something like that, you might see the OA bags, like the SAC wallets, start rotating in. There might be a slight delay, I guess is what I'm saying, from when the BTC peak is to then the Ethereum peak and then possibly the RH coin peak. You know what I mean? So like with that sort of context in mind, I think that we're sort of set up in a pretty good way where Richard Hart's beat the SEC no longer has any of that sort of gatekeeping as an excuse not to be listed on tier 1 exchanges, things like that. The community are hammering them, so that I think that's going to be a good way to just onboard. The other thing I guess is that the Interpol FUD, if the lawyers made the SEC look almost foolish and got the judge to dismiss that case, I suspect it would just be a walk in the park to get this Interpol FUD sorted, because it's like, he may not be a tax resident, in Finland. There might be like a million reasons why they just go, no, this case is dumb because, X, Y, Z. It could be like a structure, like a trust structure with the OA that sort of makes its primary place of origin maybe set up somewhere in like Switzerland, for example, and then or Cayman Islands, whatever. And like Richard's obviously smart enough to know that he may have been living in Finland, but that doesn't mean that the entity that is the OA or the SAC wallets may not be, in Finland. So that might just squash that whole Interpol thing. Would just be like, case dismissed, basically, again. And then so once you get some of these, gates out the way.
Well, it was interesting. Can I just jump in? Sure. It was interesting to hear, and I think it was Nuclear Herbs on a stream, maybe a month ago, saying that he tried to look into the stuff going on in Finland, or there was a detective who was involved in the some of these charges or whatever, but there's nothing public, and that's of particular interest, man. The fact that there's nothing public, like, that's strange. Usually, if someone is wanted in a country, there's some sort of public notice about that, but no, there's just Interpol. So it's odd. It's odd, and I think
it seems like it's being used as
I wouldn't
a
be
tool,
surprised
like,
if there's some like sort of machinations, some evil machinations going on in the background, mate, targeting.
Yeah, it could be, but it could just be, Occam's razor. Like, why would they be motivated to do this? Because they want to get paid. Like, they literally just want a slice of this OA SAC wallets that's sitting there. They're like, oh, have you got 170,000 ETH? Oh,
why wouldn't it just
be? But
why wouldn't that be?
Yeah, nah, sorry,
no, but
buddy.
the question is, why wouldn't that just be a public, like something a bit more? I don't know how it works in Finland, but you would have thought, like, if someone's being looked for in Finland, there would be something public about it. Like, we're looking for this guy. Have you seen him? Why just why just
there's
Interpol?
A couple of things. I think the Interpol thing it has been used historically as a tool. Like like you say, people kind of maybe have got beef with particular individuals, use it as a tool to, maybe smear their name or whatever. And I don't think people are taking it terribly seriously, because all it means is that then they bring them in, and then they can issue them with some charge. But it's like the lawyers would sort that out anyway. So I don't think that case, like they've got a good case for that. And then the other thing is that, people have speculated, I think, Charles Hoskinson said this whole thing about how, well, he was wrong about one thing. He said that because the SEC case involved fraud, that it wouldn't, well, actually, I guess he was right. He said it wouldn't get dropped, and it didn't get dropped. It got beaten, like it got dismissed. So, but the good thing about that was
he was wrong.
Well, there's a subtle thing there, because he thought that, he's wrong that he thought that RH.
His presumption was that Richard Hart was guilty of these things, and that's how he was talking. So we can I understand the semantics of it, but what he was implying in the way he was talking was that Richard Hart was guilty of fraud, and that he was going to get what was coming to him. And
is that what he's okay? I didn't even see that stuff. Yeah, right.
That's so. Yeah, no, he didn't say that, but that's sort of the implication. That's what he was implying by how he was talking.
Yeah. Well, we've got a better ADA on PulseChain anyway, so we've got the real Cardano.
This is true. This is true.
The pump tires Cardano. So, but what I was just getting at with that was the interesting thing about this being dismissed was that they even said that if it had gone to trial, that the fraud aspects would also, the alleged fraud, wouldn't have held up in court. They would have lost. Like, I could bring up the thing, but you can read it yourself. But so the interesting thing about that is that people had this sort of Damocles hanging over our heads, kind of going, oh, but the DOJ are going to, present a fraud case. And it's like, well, I was like, holy shit, that's bad, because, the SEC is one thing, it's not a criminal case, but if the DOJ got involved, then that would be bad. It's like, now you've got legal precedent for a judge to say that the fraud stuff is like, is not going to hold up in court. So then the DOJ would look at that and just be like, oh, damn, they can't even, well, I would think.
Is it even the same DOJ though? Like, is it the same? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a different DOJ, like, as far as
like post-Trump, post-Trump DOJ. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, then they just got no leg to stand on, because I thought that was maybe a realistic threat of happening. But now,
well, the DOJ was suing Elon Musk. Was suing Elon Musk.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It was suing Elon Musk for not hiring illegal immigrants, because they thought that Elon Musk should also, as far as a part of diversity, needed to hire illegal immigrants at SpaceX. But the law also prevented him from hiring illegal immigrants, because you need to be a citizen because of the sensitive nature of that technology, right? Yeah, so that's what they were. They were arguing this in court, and in the last, I think, however long, since Trump got in, it's been dropped. Like, the DOJ dropped it because it's a stupid case. Like, how can you be following the law? Yeah, it's law. That's lawfare. That's just trying to.
Yeah.
So I think there has been a change. Like, there's definitely a change at the top at the DOJ, and it will filter down over time.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually been quite a few changes at the SEC. I saw a few articles and things like that. I don't know if I can find it quickly, but they were talking about, dropping this whole, regulation by enforcement approach. And then they were, here we go, moving towards developing clear regulatory guidelines for cryptocurrency industry. So it's because they dropped the cases for like Robinhood, Coinbase, Kraken, all this sort of stuff. They're sort of they actually want to have what we were all hoping, which is an actual framework, a regulatory framework that people could follow, rather than just sort of saying, you know, we're just going to make it a bit mysterious, and then if you do the wrong thing, we'll sue you because we don't like you. Like, so hopefully, yeah, like you say, the changes, but post-Trump to the DOJ, SEC are now much more favorable for crypto. And I think at the moment there's a crypto summit going on where they've just announced the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, and also there's like it's like a US stockpile, I think, for basically for altcoins. But yeah, I suspect they'll also come up with some regulatory framework. They might even announce it at this summit, or they might try and get some of these guys together. But yeah, one of the changes I read was that I think in the US there was a law that was going to come into place in 2026 requiring DEXs, like DeFi, you know, AMM DEXs, to report like each transaction, like from like a tax point of view. And it was the most stupidest law.
That got scrapped,
that's been canned. It got scrapped. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
have to go like in about 10 minutes.
That's
and then
cool.
I might come back on a bit later. But
Okay.
I wanted to give you just a rundown of what I like, getting back to Hex and like what I think is going to happen, how it's going to play out. I want to give a rundown of that because I think that this bear market is going to give a lot of people PTSD and is going to scar a lot of people when it comes to like Hex and all that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised, like, if assuming, you know, we get our run up in Hex, it's sort of irrelevant what that run up goes to, you know, as long as it's above like above previous all-time highs. I think once we, you know, top out, I think we're going to get the biggest rush to the exit door that you've ever seen, because no one is going to have an appetite. No one's going to have an appetite to sit out another 3 years, 4 years, like the last, right? So I think we're going to see the biggest exit, you know, and I think people are going to AES their like shorter stakes, like if they're 1 or 2 years, possibly even 3 years. You know, if they've been earlier on, I think they'll AES them, as long as they're getting back like more than, at least they're getting something above and beyond what they originally staked. I think people will be happy with that, and there'll be heaps of AESs, right? Heaps.
Yes.
I think this is a potential thing that this could potentially happen, right?
Well, it's a good thing,
you just
right?
get this,
Like
you get this massive like red candles, like massive red candles, and we dump, right? But the question is this: after they're gone, who's going to be left to dump?
Exactly. So long term, EES are great because it means that these guys basically wrecked their economic value.
In the bear market, like, who's going to be left to dump? That's the question, because everyone was going to have. I think everyone's going to run for the exit, like as hard as and fast as they can. And who's going to be left over? But the people who like believe or like didn't EES, so they're going to have their stakes coming out. But so the question is, like, and I'm not going to say, oh, we're going to pump in the bear market. I don't think so. Like, I don't believe any of that. I don't. You know, there's no reason for me to think that or believe that.
Well,
but
the OA could be EESing stakes in the bear market.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that could get people back into the idea of, because you need everyone to EES, right? And then all the people who are staked are going to get the benefit of those EESs on when they're exiting, right?
The staking class,
because that's going to daily payouts will go out will go up, like as a result of that. The daily payout, like the average daily payout, will go up slightly when all those EESs happen. But then once all those EESs, like there's no more of them, like all those people who wanted to sell those stakes have gone and sold them. then there's just the OA's stakes. And what if the OA starts EESing just to provide like these higher daily payouts, and then not only these higher daily payouts, but also incentivize other people to start staking again, right? Because the average daily payout is going to go up, and if it's a significant proportion of the OA's stakes, then the OA is cool because the OA is going to get like 50% of the penalties back.
Yes.
Right. And it would do two things. Let's just imagine, for example, that the OA was to EES all of those stakes, right, over the course of a year, right, in the bear market. That would provide significant incentive to the people who are staked over the bear market and it would provide incentive to people to start staking again. It would also
and it can restake
reduce the
and then also
percentage.
EES again.
It would also reduce the percentage that the OA is holding. The OA was holding 90%, right? This would probably reduce that down to 75 to 80%. So we'd see like a lower percentage of, OA ownership, which is actually like that's sort of over time, over a couple of cycles. If that thing, and you would also set up this precedent where this has happened, and then people would have it in their mind that this can happen in Hex. So it would set up a different dynamic in the following, at the end of the following bull run, where people would be like, hey, look what, let's remember what could happen. Let's not miss out on all these EESs that could happen if the OA then staked again before the start of the next bull run. So I think there's a lot of potentials that could happen that could stimulate market interest in Hex and staking. And, I wouldn't assume that staking's dead, even though I have said myself that I believe the blockchain CD thing, I think that narrative is dead. I think it much more like it's much more like a self-managed pension fund or retirement fund. I think that's what it resembles, really. But yeah, that was my little rant. I got about 5 minutes and then I'll duck out. I might come back a bit later if I can.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Look, this is the thing about Hex, right? So there's game mechanics in place where you have people that are staking and getting yield, people who are holding liquid. And so the whole thing here is that when you hold it liquid, you're getting diluted by the inflation. But people might think that they can get a better price, sell the tops, things like that. But then people might also think that if they stake, they can ride out volatility. So they're not going to feel like they're going to dump their bags on every bad news, because some people just sell red candles and buy green candles. It is what it is. So staking kind of protects you from that, from yourself almost, in regards. So that's like the thing about Hex, I guess, is that you have different market participants that are in it for different reasons, and each think that their method is better. But maybe, it depends on the price, really, because if the volatility is not as extreme this time, then, in terms of price up, then stakers will probably win in the long term. But if there are moments where it can, go up like 100x or something like that, and you can time the top, then you certainly outperform people who have staked but then have locked up. But then you might see people EESing because they've staked, thinking that they don't need to sell right now, they can hold off for another 5-10 years, whatever. Then they see the price jump up, and then they think, oh, holy crap, if I EES, I lose half my bag, but then maybe I'm making a 10x. So it still works out better than if I hold it for that whole period of time. So as the price goes up each time, I think you'll see a lot of EESs, because people will they'll change their mind. Like they'll be like, I'm in it for the long term. And then they're like, price volatility goes up. They go, oh, holy crap, I'm EESing and I'm catching this and I'm going to dump it. So the volatility, I think you'll see. But then every time they do that, they're cutting out some of the economic energy because they're only getting a fraction of what that stake is worth. And particularly if it, you know, price goes even higher, but, you know, they might get wrecked and only get 30% of that stake. But then they think that because the price went up 10x, it's still better. So yeah, it's really interesting game mechanics, I think, of Hex as to all these EESs.
The other thing that's, in my opinion, is super, super interesting about what's gone on recently with the OA staking and reducing that that daily payout, you know, significantly by you know, down to 25% of what it was previously. It sort of gives people a general impression that it's not worth staking, right? And what that does is it makes people value T-shares less. But as you and I know, T-shares, the thing about T-shares is that they always go up in price. So if you decide to value T-shares less, in your mind, you
In
think
Hex
T-shares are
terms.
worth less to me right now, but every day that stakes come out, the price of T-shares goes up. So if in future
Hex
there are
terms.
AESs and then that, you know, 25% of the daily payout is pumped up back to 75% or 100%, and then all of a sudden people are like, hey, staking is valuable again. But the problem is that in that, you know, in that year that's passed, the T-share rate's gone from 40,000 per T-share to 52,000 per T-share, and you're paying, you know, 30% more to, you know, to get your T-shares in terms of Hex, right? So even if you were just sitting on them liquid, even if you're sitting on liquid Hex, just to regain the same T-shares a year and a half later, might, you know, be 30% more expensive in terms of that Hex. So you'll get less T-shares. So, and this is what goes into, you know, I actually think, and I say this, and it's stupid that I say this because I'm sort of sharing something that I think is well known to people who believe in T-shares, and that is that when you end a stake, you know, you want to like re-get your T-shares, but you can get them in terms of DESI, because DESI is like a discounted T-shares, right? Because they are a redemption token for a stake that ends in about 7.5 years. But
that's
you
not
need to
long.
you have to believe. You have to believe. But the beauty of it is, if you were to stake, think about it, if you were to stake for 7.5 years now, right?
Yeah.
The price you're paying for the T-shares is much more than if you just buy the DESI, right? Which is a stake that ends in 7.5 years. So it's one of those things that I think is, it's obvious to people who know about T-shares and believe in them and believe in the long-term future of them, but maybe less obvious to people who are playing that trading game of just trying to get what they can in the short term.
Yeah, but you can do both, right? You don't have, they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to choose one way or the other. It's not like, you know, whatever that civil war sort of thing where it's like you got this way or this way. You can do staking ladders. You can buy Maxi and Hex and DESI, and you can hold liquid. Like no one's forcing you to do anything.
You can do all three, and I think that's a really good strategy. I guess my point was that when your staking ladder stakes end, you're going to lose. Let's say you've got 10 T-shares in a stake, right? You end your stake, and you've got the Hex, right? Liquid. I like the strategy personally for me, and it's not financial advice, obviously. But for me, I like the strategy of like when a stake ends and you've got that 10 T-shares, you no longer have those T-shares when the Hex is liquid. I like getting the 10 T-shares worth in DESI, because if I was to, like, I generally, because I've got a staking ladder, I like to only stake long term anyway, because I've already got a staking ladder, right? So for me personally, I like getting DESI because it's a long-term stake. It's not a 15-year stake or a 10-year stake anymore. It was originally, but I like that because I can re-get my 10 T shares for much less than it would be to do a 7.5-year stake natively, which would cost me much more in terms of HEX. And some people don't like that I put this out there because they're like, no, just make, get people to do, but I don't care. Like, I just think T shares are valuable, man. And if T shares are valuable, then that's a way of getting legit T shares that, you can, redeem from the stake at the end. But
there's all sorts of things, man.
Yeah.
There's like the auctions, there was that whole, remember the ICOSA system where you could buy HSIs on auction, and there's lots of ways you can get T-shares. So it's like, if that's the game, you should look into some of these. Like, everyone should look into these things. But I'm sort of like a little bit agnostic in the sense that, like, some people might be like hardcore in the PulseX versus Pulse, and I think they're nearly at parity now, if not at parity.
Yeah, parity. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's unreal. And then it's like some people might be like sort of saying, hex, staking or don't stake, or EHEX, PHEX. And I mean, I obviously have my preference with HEX on PulseChain, but mainly because the fees and the cost of staking on PulseChain is a lot less and a lot more reliable, I think, than on Ethereum. But it's not to say that there's not merit in some HEX on Ethereum as well, given that what we've seen with Uniswap and Matcha now relisting HEX on Ethereum, and maybe even like if one of these tier 1 exchanges lists HEX on Ethereum, so it's like you got to kind of
let's hope so, man.
A little bit. I think
I'd like
some people might be.
I'd like a Kraken listing or a Coinbase listing. I think those two would be amazing. But mate, I'm sorry, I actually have to head off right now. I've got some family stuff. I might be able to jump on a bit later. I'll see how I go.
See how you go. No dramas.
If you're still streaming, I'll jump back. All right. See you later, mate.
Yep.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate. Have a good weekend if I don't see you. Cheers, mate. Yeah, so that's interesting in a sense, because like I've always sort of said about the HEX on PulseChain, but it's HEX on Ethereum has just been so cheap. And it's like, you don't know whether or not you should just keep stacking HEX on PulseChain, like at some point. But if you're hitting targets and things like that, and then you're sort of going, well, it is super cheap. And then it is tempting, and some people are like all in on HEX on Ethereum. So like, Johnny Chaos and things like that. So, I mean, that's awesome. And so I wish the guys, the best as well. So whichever works out, like this is the game. Like, you have to play the game and choose your strategy. Let's see what is up in the chat. Apologies for neglecting the chat, peeps. But we had Hi-Ho Hex here. Hi-Ho. True Blue. What is up? What is up? I think Big Rig might be able to come on, but I think his connection on his phone was a bit wrecked, so maybe not, but we'll see. But shout out to Big Rig. Lockstock Vids, maybe RH is waiting until the 20 days after judge ruling just to be sure. Yeah, that could be in terms of him streaming. I'm not sure that I get all the comments, by the way, in this StreamYard. So if I've missed a comment, it's not like I'm ignoring you. It's just that I think it only shows top comments or something. Anyway, so Lockstock may have said something earlier, and then this is pertaining to that, or this is just, the comment in its entirety. But I think what he's implying that maybe like when RH stream, maybe he's waiting the 20 days. Yeah, fully. I mean, you've waited this long. If you've waited that long, what's an extra 15 days at this point? So Sandip said, what do you think RH? What do you think RH also fight against Interpol? Interpol. Interpol. I think we should call them Interpol from now on. That's wicked. Yeah, I think I've already talked about this. So I just think that the lawyers will make short work of that. I don't think it's a big deal. Yes. Okay. Before he gets back into streaming. Yes, that's exactly what it was. Oh, that was me doing the register the interest thing. Me again. What is up, class? Ah, yes. That's probably congratulations about our newborn baby, which is keeping me up here. Thank you, Condor. Red Squirrel, what is up? How you going there, buddy? Which is interesting because Fast Abdul, I believe, is in Vegas at the PulseChain conference. So, make of that what you will. But yeah, what is up, Red Squirrel? Hope work goes okay. Yes. Yeah, you got to grind. If you want to stack those RH coins or whatever it is that you're stacking. Ah, that was another one that I was. So Interpool is funny. Quinny Gin, I think Big Rig has now donned you with the moniker Ginny Quinn because we had too many beers on Australia Day. So g'day to Ginny Quinn. Hopefully he doesn't mind that. What is up, HEXican Lost in Asia? Base Radiant, what are you doing, bro? Just come on. What are you in the chat for? Case dismissed. Oh, I should have got a gavel. Damn it. That's an opportunity missed. I should have got a gavel, like a prop gavel. Anyway, next time. Let's hope there's no more court cases, though. That's anyway. Always soak up all the ES dumpers, then reward long-term stakers later. Yes, I've heard of it. Used the term. What was the term? A loyalty reward thing. I'm not sure if I saw that on the. I think it was on a Hexologist. Someone commented. So shout out to Hexo. Very funny, keeping us entertained. Yeah, he was saying some piss funny things. He was saying he was going to get an AI Richard to do some like Gucci unboxing, and then because he's still got keys to Big Rich's YouTube, to like put it on there and just watch everyone just cry. I thought that was pretty funny. But seriously, don't do that, Exo, because I will cry. No, I won't. Takes a lot to get me to cry, I'll tell you that. What else? Don't need high prices on DeSi and long-term name stakes for a few years yet. My only concern with DeSi is the liquidity. I think that's been resolved by Phux, phux.io, and others. But there was a time where, and maybe I've got a bit of PTSD, where I was like selling a big bag of DeSi, and I was like, made it like a nice profit, but then I was like, my bags, and I just got hammered by slippage. That was probably early days though, so it's probably just stuck with me. But I think it's pretty good now. I think if you're going to buy DeSi, just wait the 7 years at this point. Like, then you don't have to worry about liquidity issues, and because it's like it's on a huge discount. Like that's why 43 is talking about it, because you know the premium against the treasury funds of that stake far outweighs like if you were to like the market price. Do need high prices for new buyers because only way to get attention, or postcards. Oh, the postcards, too soon, bro. Everyone was so, what's the word? Look, there's been a lot of things going on, let's just say. So RH was like, I'm not sure if he was trolling, but he was talking, he actually said, was begging Vitalik to do the postcards thing. And then so people were saying, I think Ivan was saying, well, like you should have no expectations of Vitalik, right? Like you're the community, like the Ethereum community, you need to go out and do the work. Like it was just the irony of the whole thing. So that was pretty funny, but yeah, people were crying. Do need high prices. So this is the thing, like I think one point I was going to make when 43 was talking about that. So when everyone's going to exit or whatever, like people will exit at different prices. People will see 7 cents hex and they'll be like, oh, it's time to exit. Wow, I got to get out. And then some people will be like 10 cents for sure. And then 12 cents, 20 cents. So that's fine. Like whatever, these guys can dump on their way up, and you can put limit orders below the price. You might catch some wicks, and you can like trade that volatility. But in terms of people getting trapped, like at the top, there's two ways it can happen. People can round trip. So they just think that it's going to infinitely go to hex to $5, for example. And then it might get to just $4, and then they just round trip or whatever it may be. So that's like one like non-zero possibility. And I guess, yeah, the other thing is that you got to think, if there's new people coming in, then those new people might be the ones buying the top. But then we're nowhere near that at this point. So if you're encouraging people to buy at this point, it's sort of like they're actually getting a really good deal. But yeah, there will be a point where the prices like will be so good. The price action upwards will be so good that it'll be encouraging. People will want to buy the green candles. So I was saying before, people love to sell red candles because they're like, fuck this, flip the desk, and that's the exact opposite thing to do. So you really have to almost counter trade your own emotions in a sense, and be buying despair and selling, the euphoria, the joy. So anyway, I think people know that, but yeah, the new buyers, like there's this whole catch-22 where you need new buyers to crank the price up, but then you need the price to go up to get new buyers in. So how do you get around this? And I think it's just that you need an event in the future for people to price in, and then people will buy because they think that they'll be able to sell it for more later. That's literally all it is. So events like the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, people thought that Trump would be buying heaps of Bitcoin. So they bought Bitcoin thinking that they're going to be able to sell it for more later. As it turns out, they're going to actually use seized Bitcoin for their strategic reserve. So they're not going to be buying. So then people who thought that they were going to be able to sell it for more later, they were like, I'm selling now. So that's why the price is down. Yeah, that's interesting. So you just need like future events. So I think what's been happening is we've been having a lot of good news, but we haven't seen any good price action. And that's quite typical of a bear market where you have all the good news in the world, but the price does not reflect it. So, Bitcoin has obviously been in a bull run, since a year after the all-time high. So like November 11. And it's basically been in a bull run for like 3 years. But the dominance has been so high that all the other coins have almost been in bear markets except for a few. So like Solana has had a bull run, maybe Sui, maybe a couple of others. But, and then they've just, depending, like, so meme coins don't last long. I hate to break it to everyone who's talking about meme coin super cycles and things like that. Like they do pump. They pump probably more than anything else, but they also don't last terribly long because the type of people that buy meme coins are not long-term investors. There, I said it. So yeah, you can fully ride some meme coin pumps, but don't forget to sell. Some truth bombs today. What else is going on? T-shares have a time value of money component. Yeah, so this is a different type of investing. T-shares is just like literally like long-term, like just 5-10 year time horizons. So who knows? Like by then, we could have a man on Mars. We could be all wearing, clothes that change color. I don't know. I gotta think of some. Put it in the chat. Wild things that you expect from technology in the future. And I want you to have expectations. Because where is my rocket car and jetpacks? Like, I feel like jetpacks we're overdue for jetpacks. Maybe even that hoverboard, skateboard thing from Back to the Future. Like, what's up with that? They were talking about that a lot. I don't have any hoverboards, is all I'm saying. Bismarck crypto, big smoke. Oh, big smoke. There's got no E though, to be fair. Big smoke. Big smoke sounds almost like smog, like a dragon, or it's like a Eastern European big smoke. I'm not quite sure. I really like Actuator. It allows me to buy HEX at these cheap prices and borrow against my HSR locks. Okay. Actuator, yeah. I think it's good. I haven't looked into it heaps. Change top to live chat. Yeah. But even when I go to edit, and when I go to all, I don't know, man. I know you can do that on YouTube, but in StreamYard, it might be somewhere else. Not trying to shill. That's cool, Big Smoke. I like the name. And Actuator, I think, is legit. I think it's pretty good. It's been 5 years on my Quattrocincos. No way. Oh, yes. Diamond Hands, my man. OpSec right now, not good. Location stream. That's cool. Understand. Don't want to give away your destination. If I had a stream the other day, it would have been just like quackers, like bouncing around. I'd be like, yeah. It's like that's pretty much the only place in the world that has quackers. So Rotnest would have given me away. Not that I really care. Clintrons, what is up? My man, good afternoon down under crew. Thank you for joining us, sir. I have no new technology for medicine at the end game. We do need new longevity technology, you would think. But it's probably more like you don't want to wait till you get wickedly old and then just somehow sustain your life. So you're just like, your body's like age 90 forever. It's like you want to actually stop it when you're in your 30s, maybe 40s or something, so that you... Anyway. We're definitely owed a hoverboard. 100%, bro. What is up? Like, when hoverboard? No portable heart pump unless impossible criteria satisfied. No cure for Parkinson's. Elon fix this. I feel like Parkinson's could be on the list, like, of a cure, like preventable diseases at one point. Small computers we hold in our hands and put in our pockets. Yeah, man. No, you're thinking too. You got to think. You need to contemporize, man. That's a Simpsons joke. But I think we'll just integrate phones into our bodies. Like, you could argue that having a computer in your pocket makes us a hybrid kind of human anyway, because we have access at our fingertips to the compendium of human knowledge. So it's like, it's almost as if we've integrated computers and humans into some sort of hybrid android anyway. But I feel like they're missing the step where you literally just like connect your phone, like Bluetooth it into a chip in your brain, and then you can just, I don't know, like blink twice and just access, some AI agent that just goes and looks shit up for you, and then you the answer. Like, they will do that. It's only a matter of time. If anyone's seen Johnny Mnemonic, then it just becomes a point of like upgrading, your memory in your brain. Like, you just want to have like, oh, I got the 10 terabyte like hard drive installed in my brain, but I need more capacity. Like, you got to pay. They'll put it on some sort of payment plan. It's only a matter of time, and then you probably get cancer or something from the chip that's in your brain. Anyway, something to look forward to. Quokkas are cute. If anyone hasn't seen a quokka, like, I don't know what to tell you. Come and get Blotto and Rotto and check out some quokkas. Let me just quickly bring up a picture of a quokka. No, I wasn't actually going to do this. But in all seriousness, though, bam! Look at this! Look at this cheery fellow. Like, come on. That's a place to hang out in the bear market. That's all I'm saying. All right. So what I was going to do is quickly talk about this Bitcoin strategic reserve. So there was a few things. So I just got to enter the chat. That's why I've like started talking about this. But feel free to comment in the chat if you want me to talk about certain things or charts or coins, and I'll be happy to do so. One thing that I've just noticed is a lot of people are struggling to understand, and I understand why, because it's a little unclear, what is going on with this Bitcoin strategic reserve. So Somi here, shout out to Somi, he sort of broke it down and he sort of said, David Sachs has confirmed executive order is 1, Bitcoin reserve, government can't buy. 2, altcoin stockpile, government can buy. If you read the tweet from David Sachs, it basically says that they're not going to buy Bitcoin, but they're going to, that's estimated that they've got about 200,000 Bitcoin. So this all becomes down to the fact that I think for the Trump administration to buy Bitcoin, they would need Congress approval, which they're very unlikely to get. So they thought they've made this promise for the strategic reserve. They can't buy it. They've already got 200,000 Bitcoin. They can just turn that into the Bitcoin reserve. It's a bit of a cop-out. And I feel like the market is now a little bit pissed, which is why the price is down of BTC, because they're sort of saying, well, hang on, we thought you were going to buy like 1 million Bitcoin. So what's all this? Oh, here's 200,000 Bitcoin I had under the couch, and then just calling it a strategic reserve. It's not quite the same. So I get it why people are pissed. But the interesting thing was, and then you got all the Bitcoiners out there that were sort of saying, because these guys are tapped like in their head, like they're literally sort of saying, well, you can't put any dirty altcoins in my pristine, strategic reserve, because then it just becomes a shitcoin reserve and all this sort of stuff, because they can't fathom that there's other cryptos out there that aren't Bitcoin. So they've actually split it into 2 to keep these guys happy. There's the strategic Bitcoin reserve, and then there's this US digital asset stockpile. Now, the interesting thing was, so some people are saying, okay, they can't buy Bitcoin. They're going to use this Bitcoin they found under the couch. Actually, let's be honest, this is Bitcoin that they've stolen off people who have stolen it off someone else. They've seized it. But they're not necessarily going to be able to buy any more. Then with the altcoins, the digital asset stockpile, they need better names for this. I'm just going to call it the altcoin stockpile. With the altcoin stockpile, they're suggesting that they can actually buy and sell. But I think it has to be like net neutral, like yeah, so the government will not acquire additional assets for the stockpile beyond those obtained through forfeiture proceedings. So this is where I think people are getting confused, because there's like one camp saying, no, they're not going to be able to buy anything in the altcoin stockpile. And people are saying, yes, that's the only thing that they are allowed to buy. But I kind of see it as, if you've got all of these, seized wallets, let's call them keys, and you've got all of these assets in them, what they're really saying is, you take all the Bitcoin and you put it in a big pile. That's the Bitcoin strategic reserve. Then you take all the altcoins, you put it in this altcoin stockpile, but they're not guaranteeing that they're not going to sell or buy in that stockpile. So what they'll probably do is, because if you think about it, they've probably got a whole bunch of like, Monero whatever, Dogecoin, just a whole bunch of coins, like just like dust, but like at large scales of just a heap of coins. And then they may choose like a chosen, like maybe 4 or 5. They'll sell it into that. That's the way I interpret it. So it means that I think, Ethereum, Solana, I think it was XRP and ADA were the ones that Trump had mentioned. Hopefully, we can call in a favor and get PulseChain and Hex on there. But I don't think that's likely. But it doesn't matter, because if they buy up a shit ton of Ethereum, the whole PulseChain ecosystem will go up anyway, because we're liquidity bonded to Ethereum. The OA sack bags have got like one of the largest Ethereum holders going around. So, and then they rotate that into the RH assets. So I think, yeah. And obviously the World Liberty Finance have been stockpiling Ethereum. So that's normally the best indicator that they're going to turn this, all the altcoins that are in this altcoin stockpile, and then use that to buy up Ethereum. Here we go. Oh no. Screen share wasn't working. That's crazy. I must have had that's not cool, because I've just done a tangent. I love your tangent, but tangent does that a bit, and I'm always like going, bro, the screen share. So it wasn't showing. Like if I do this and just go quokka. Anyway, you didn't miss much, man. They're quokkas. People know what they are. I was just saying this guy's like, yeah, look at this happy fellow. That's all it was. Anyway, it probably does matter though that I can show you these tweets and things. When Quokka coin, yeah, someone will probably do that. But don't you make a baby Quokka coin. That's the only thing. I'm okay with the Quokka coin. Don't make a baby Quokka coin. That's not cool. Yeah, so if I go back to this, I feel like, yeah, the stockpile, people are going to hopefully be bullish on Ethereum, in the sense that they can swap like this altcoin stockpile. Oh, cool. Somebody said called it the same thing, altcoin stockpile. The government can swap all these shit coins into Ethereum. So that'll be bullish. Just a quick shout out to Colin Talks Crypto at Colin T Crypto. So he was saying this thing about the global M2 money supply had gone vertical, and then he was saying that there's a delay between when M2 money supply, that when they print to when you actually see it affect the markets. So I think his speculation is it's about 70 days, but then he puts this blast off date at 25th of March. So yeah, I really hope that's the case. That's the chart. And he was just saying that there's this delay. So he's put in a 70-day offset, but you can do that yourself and just put in whatever offset you think like that there needs to be. Some people say 40 days, 50 days, whatever. But yeah, that's interesting. A bit of opium maybe. Oh yeah, shout out to the Aussies that are yeah. So there's like a cyclone on the east coast. Oh, you can't hear it probably, but these guys are just like going down hills and stuff and mucking around in the cyclone. So yeah, but hopefully all the guys on the east coast are doing okay. Ivan on Tech is pretty funny. He said, if Vitalik mentions woke shit or communism to Trump on Friday during the crypto summit, it's over for ETH. So watch out for that. He also said, I hope he gets a suit. as Trump sees everyone without suit as hobo. I read that in my mind with Ivan on Tech's accent. I hope he gets a suit as Trump sees everyone without suit as hobo. That's fair. It's fair. Everyone without a suit is a hobo. So okay. Maybe in Trump's mind, like, yeah, look, it's pretty bearish. I'll bring up some charts in a second. I just want to quickly go through this. Since the Richard Hart SEC case was dismissed, Uniswap, CoinGecko, Matcha, and CowSwap relisted Hex. I think CowSwap always had eHex, so that's no big deal. PulseChain assets will soon be listed on tier 1 exchanges. Yep, I think that's cool. Oh, this was scary that the American, I don't know if you can see this. Oh man, I don't even want to hear that. But basically, they had all these like members, I think, of like the Democratic Party, I guess it's maybe their Congress, and they had like copy pasted the speech, and they all said the exact same speech, and I was like, holy crap! It's, you got to read the room. Like you can't be doing that. Everyone already sees you guys as being, you know, like puppets. You can't just give ammunition like that. That's crazy. So BlackRock have stopped selling BTC. Thank fuck for that. So yeah, zero outflows yesterday. That's good. ETH inflation versus Pulse deflation. So since the merge, and this is like thanks to Zen, I think, because they were just anyway, they were basically just, there's so many bots that it was just, and then maybe I'm not sure why the inflation has gone up so much since this point, but anyway, the PulseChain supply is down 40 billion. So we are actually deflationary according to the Pulse alerts, which is crazy because I thought we were disinflationary. I didn't realize we were actually deflationary. Oh yeah, this was good. The best part of Doge is that the liberals are forced to publicly defend blatant money laundering. Yeah, this is good because it's like, how can you be against making a government more efficient? Like, how can you be against a government getting rid of corruption and misappropriation of funds? You can't. Like, well, you can, as evidently you can. There are a lot of people out there that are really, you know, butthurt about what the Doge is doing, but it doesn't make any sense. Because by definition, you want the government to be the most efficient. You don't want it to be, you know, doing blatant money laundering and sending money and wasting taxpayers' money. So then it's like, it's just super weird that people are so against Elon at this time. What is up, True Blue? Are you there, my bro? I'll just put you there and see if your audio comes through. I think you're muted at the moment. There was this guy who longed $200 million of crypto right before the Trump Strategic Reserve announcement. So it was like, I think if it went down 2%, he was going to get liquidated. But 200 milli on the line, and then it made some ridiculous, like $8 million or something. And then he changed his name on whichever platform they was using to go long on it, like the leverage. I think it was like 25x leverage or something stupid. And then he changed it to March 7, which was the crypto conference. So hasn't really played out, but we will see. This guy obviously is an insider, so maybe keep track of that wallet. BlackRock says if every millionaire in the US asked their financial advisor to get them one Bitcoin, there wouldn't be enough. That's always a good point. I do like that idea. And I'd have to say I'm a little bit in contrary to what Richard sometimes says, which is that, you know, the world's richest man already bought. So then, you know, we're at the top of the S curve or whatever, like implying because Elon had bought. But it's like there's so many other billionaires out there. I mean, like that argument that who else is going to buy? Well, it obviously didn't factor in Michael Saylor and his, you know, insanity to keep buying tops. In fact, if you look at the Michael Saylor, like Saylor tracker, this guy is unhinged. He's just been buying Bitcoin like a madman forever. And he keeps raising his average buy price. So he's not even buying dips. Look at these buys. Like, he literally bought the top of this move. I mean, he bought the middle, he bought the bottom, he bought the top. He just buys it all the time. He didn't buy this dip, however. So I think it's just like whenever he gets money, he just goes all in. So yeah, he's just a madman. And it's up to $44 billion. Hey, I can hear you now, bro. How you going?
Hey, good stuff. Yeah, good. Hey, that chart is like a lot of HEXicans, I reckon, over the past couple of years. Except for the upside.
Yeah, big time.
that's just the bags getting bigger. Yeah.
This is True Blues DCAing right here. This is
pretty much
bigrigtracker.com.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and yeah,
stuff.
It's just buys, man. Like, just like a madman, just buying. You know,
you
got to have
if it's like balls of steel, or if it's like just ruthless, like careless type attitude. But yeah, he's going hard.
Look, I think it's going to work until it doesn't, right? So I think, you know, I've sort of said that in the past. I think he's going to be on the cover of Time. Turns out he was on the cover of Forbes, but it's a genius strategy while the markets go up. So as long as he keeps buying and the market just keeps going up and he keeps borrowing and buying more, it's genius, right?
Yeah.
Until it stops, until his average buy, like it says up here, his average buy is now 66,000 and the price is 88, right? So until the average price goes above the current price, then he's not going to look so smart. So
exactly,
it is a ticking time bomb. But at the moment, he's a Chad. And I think if we think that the 4-year cycle is going to go till November, and it could, even BTC could 2x from here easily, even 3x, he could be worth just a ridiculous. He could be the new richest person in the world. I mean, I guess this is MicroStrategy or strategy, not him personally, but it's always like, you know, when CZ from Binance is like, well, he's not technically, he doesn't own the assets that's in Binance. It's like, yeah, but just how much has he got on the side?
That's right. So with this is are we expecting to see MicroStrategy sell at the top, because it would pretty much make the top, but it's more reserves for his market, isn't it? So is he not going to sell and just hold forever?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was saying, is like, I think it's like a ticking time bomb, because I don't think he has it in him to sell, which means that he's just going to literally forever buy tops. But the market will still decide that it's the top, but he won't. So he'll just keep buying. But the problem is then once the market starts to go down and go below his average price, then people are going to be like, oh, holy shit, he's going to get liquidated. Like, I'm going to sell before it dumps. And then it'll go down. I still think it'll go down 80% BTC from the all-time high.
For sure.
It just may be that 80% down from the all-time high might mean that the lowest Bitcoin goes ever again might be like 60K, you know? So it could be something like that. So it's not like that bad, but it also means it'll probably wreck MicroStrategy if they're buying at like 200K. Because I think even you said that you were thinking that maybe Bitcoin might get to 200K, but that'd be hard to breach, like the 200K barrier.
Yeah, I reckon that would be a barrier. If we get past it, you know, I think we'd want to be making moves out of there pretty quick.
I'm starting to think you might be right about that, bro.
Yeah, it's not looking great to get up and past there, but you know, there's a lot going on with these meetings, you know, in the White House and all this sort of stuff going on. It's crypto's getting on the world stage like never before.
And it is like an emotional sort of response as well. You think, look, it won't go over 200, but the percentage moves get easier and easier, like when the price goes up. So, so like I say, once it's at 187K, people might just be like, that's it. It won't go any higher. But then to get above 200 is probably not that much. But it is still, I think, like you say, 200 is a psychological form of resistance there. But it may not even get close because, you know, diminishing returns, yada, yada. We might only see it get to 120K or something like that. But I don't think that it's over. Like, I don't think that we're in a, like we might be in a localized bear market in Hex or whatever. And certainly there might be other coins that are in bear markets. But I don't think BTC has entered its bear market yet. Like, for me, it's the pi cycle top indicator.
Yeah.
Still, these two moving averages haven't converged. So, you know, I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, I don't think we're some people are like legit saying, "Oh, well, it's over."
Nah, no way. It's not.
Yeah, no way.
I really don't believe it's over. I mean, yeah, Bitcoin might not do another double, or, you know, whatever. We might not see it hit the 200K, but that there's still a lot of room to move even in that, and then the rest of the market as well. So I was interested. I found your comment interesting. It's, you know, quite obvious, I guess, with meme coins that people are pretty short-sighted and impatient, and they don't sit in them for long. But what's your opinion on, like, the whole Solana stuff that's happened? And obviously the hype seems to have dropped a bit there. Do you think these people are going to start to realize what they've been doing and then maybe get smarter? And do you think it's going to bring them over to other chains, or do you think Solana will turn into less of a meme land and start getting a bit more serious again?
Look, I think gamblers are going to gamble, bro. I think there is a different class of investors. And I think that some people are serious investors and they're sort of thinking, this has utility, this has yield. There's people out there might be interested in this, you know, long term. They believe in, you know, the tenets of decentralization or you know, freedom of speech or whatever. They sort of think that these platforms might be better than these platforms. Like that's like, I think, most hexicans, I would say. And then there's just people that are literally just gambling 10x, 20x leverage, like all day before breakfast, you know.
For sure.
And so these people are just they're going to the casino because they can do it from in their underpants. They don't have to go outside. So there's always going to be people doing that. The problem with Solana was that the game was rigged. It was like they were going to a casino and they're doing the roulette wheel, but the roulette wheel was weighted so that literally the house won like 999 times out of 1,000. And that's because the guys who were launching the coins were giving allocations to people to shield them, and they were sniping their own launches. And then there's a whole bunch of other snipers out there that were buying like the actual block that those coins were being deployed on and things like that, eating massive slippage, but just getting huge portions of the supply. And then they would just permadump on all the people who just liked the meme, you know, like people would just like went, oh, Peanut, I like that squirrel, like for whatever reason, or, you know, dog with hat, or some other bullshit, you know, check out this Giga Chad guy's chin. Like, I don't know why people are buying that stuff, but for whatever reason, they're buying it. But it's like they're playing a rigged game where the insiders are, and it's been proven, obviously, you know, in recent weeks that these guys were dumping on their heads. So I don't know. I feel like people have got short memories, like short memory. So even though we all may have long memories and we all be like, beware the Jeet chain and Jeet coins, and, you know, you're going to lose your money if you try and hold any of these things long term. Like, it's okay to like, get into a meme and then like sell it, like if you make a profit, but like you cannot hold these things long term thinking that they're gonna, you know, they're gonna sustain. But then people, I think, are just always going to gamble. Like, they're just always going to be there, and maybe they're going to find new places, new casinos that they perceive to be less rigged. So they may, like you say, start using the pump tires to launch their coins. Maybe they'll use Base, maybe they'll use Sonic. Who's to say? But I think there'll always be, you know, gamblers out there, you know.
Oh, definitely. I really feel like Solana had this almost like the NFTs had last cycle. I feel like Solana for a little bit, you know, for the past 6 months or a year has been really trendy. And I just, like, I don't know if it's just, you know, my algorithms have changed and it's fading away a bit or what, but it just seems to be less trendy right now. After all this stuff has sort of came to fruition and came to light about sort of that it was in a way rigged, or, you know, people were ready to dump on you all the time. So I'm just just interested in that trend where that's going from now. So
well certainly I think that the fear factor is quite high. Yesterday was extreme fear. Last week extreme fear, and now we're just at to regular fear. So that is what it is. But I think it's also just because Sol has just been in a downtrend. Like all of those Solana coins, you know, pulled with Sol, and Sol kind of peaked out at the start of the year and is now just in a wicked downtrend. It's almost, I hate to say it, looking like the Ethereum chart, you know, and I guess that's the thing. That's what you got to be a little bit careful of. Like, so let's look at ETH BTC. Oh, you guys can see that chart, right? Like, Okay, cool.
No, I certainly can. Besides a few outliers, just quickly, most charts are starting to look that way. You know, especially of L1s, or, you know, whatever you want to call them. Most of them seem to be on a reasonably dodgy looking downtrend.
Yeah, look, I mean, what's happened to ETH versus BTC has been criminal since the merge. But so the Sol guys, I feel like they just thought that they were superior and that it was like, you know, ETH guys wrecked, and then they were like just dancing and tattooing their heads and things like that. But you can see Sol here versus BTC kind of rolling over. And this is weekly, right? Like, it's even more obvious on the daily. So it's kind of really rolled over. And then now Sol in against BTC, has been in a pretty significant downtrend since January. So I guess now we've had this big wick down. Maybe it's going sideways. I think people are kind of hoping that Sol will make a comeback, at least versus BTC. Because really, you have to price all these things in terms of BTC. Like, you know, you can look at XRP versus BTC. It's actually been doing quite well, but sort of sitting on just closed below support there. Sui has been going down, much the same as Sol versus BTC, but is now kind of grinding sideways. It's basically like a local bear market. Like, we've got to stop using this word. It's just bear market. It's a local downtrend. And then it's sort
Definitely
of going into accumulation. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait it out. And then so all the meme coins that are on Ethereum, like Pepe, for example, have been getting wrecked because Ethereum has been getting wrecked. So it's the same thing that a lot of the altcoins on Solana have been getting wrecked. Like all of the meme coins on Solana have been getting wrecked because Sol has been getting wrecked. So I think, you know, if you see Sol pump, then you probably see Dog with Hat pump, you know, or one of the Morad coins or whatever. If you see ETH pump, then you probably see Pepe pump harder, and PulseChain and Hex. And then so if PulseChain is going to pump, maybe you see some of the memes on PulseChain pump harder.
Exactly.
So it's this sort of, you get this leverage effect because the lighter the liquidity, the easier it is to move. But it goes both ways. So the coins that are going down, like then their levered meme coin equivalents are also going down harder.
Indeed. You can see, I mean, it's not a meme coin, but in the way of like Communist versus Hex, like that communist is still hitting all-time lows. You know, and that was like a hex confusion. You know, everyone was saying they're going to follow each other, but you know, at the moment, watching that is just, it's down bad. So yes, no, I think people are, you know, it's just once again that whole thing of being patient, because people are saying, you know, I see HEXicans and, you know, PulseChain, as you say, you know, having a go saying who's selling now, and it's like, well, have a look at the rest of the market. It's really just Hart's law in a way. Just everything's coming down at the same time, and just waiting for now. So
yeah, it's interesting as well. A lot of people sort of say that there's, you know, the reason why the price is going down or price is going up is because there's more sellers than buyers. And I think that's a little bit of a misnomer, because if you look at liquidity pools, it's just about the dollar value. So I think let me see if I can bring this up. I was looking at one of these charts. I think it was the Pika guys. Yeah, here we go. Hopefully we can see this. Yeah, so this is the Pika chart, like liquidity. And I noticed that the price had been going up. So this was up, this was a week or so ago. It was up 10% for the day. And so there was only 34 buys and 128 sells. So there was more. So the price went up 10%. There was more sells than buyers. In terms of sellers versus buyers, there was 70 sellers and 27 buyers. So like, as in, there was only 27 buyers that bought 34 times, and there was 70 sellers that sold 128 times. So there was way more sellers and way more sells, but the buy volume was higher. So it's 5.9K versus 2.9K, and hence the price went up by 10%. So it's not just that there's more buyers than sellers, or that there's more sells than buyers. It's that there's more buy volume than sell volume in dollar terms. That's literally, so that's like, maybe I'm just being autistic or whatever about that, but I'm just sort of saying, like, sometimes people kind of say, you know, why is everyone selling? It's like, bro, it's not everyone. Like, it's not like every single person is selling now. Like, stop indiscriminately blaming every single person. It may be that everyone is selling. It may be that there's just one person selling.
Yeah. Usually there's just a couple of big bags just dumping, and then they end up rebuying in anyway.
Yeah. It's literally the buy volume and sell volume.
Yeah.
So I just find that a little bit annoying, how people kind of go, everyone is selling. It's like, bro, everyone is buying. Like, there's more people buying than selling, literally. And there's more buys than sells. It's just that the price is going down because the sell volume in dollar terms is more.
Yep, I'm with you.
But yeah, maybe I've been pedantic there, but.
No, it's good. It's good. When you were saying earlier about, you know, people liking to sell red candles and that, it's like, I'm totally the opposite, and how you said you just have to change your pattern of thinking. But when I look at my deck screener and that, I sort it by biggest loser first, because that's what I'm interested in the most. Like, I'm not even interested in the gainers right now. I know, like, what is wrong with me?
You're a sick man. You need to get that checked out. Like, no, that's good.
Down bad.
That's actually
bro.
really good.
Down bad.
No, that means you're actually, like, you're winning at investing if you do that, because although there is a slight nuance here. There is no, I haven't. I can check that out. So there is a slight nuance here.
No.
As with everything, some people conflate the idea that because coins are down so bad, that therefore it's a good buy because it's cheap. And I love what Somi does, and I think he's a really smart guy and obviously knows a lot about markets. And I think he's right. And it's hard, you know, in a conversation to get through, like, the context. But I would push back a little bit on this and sort of say, not everything that's cheap is good. So just because something is, like, absolutely wrecked, you can kind of go, well, if it goes back up, then therefore it's the best buy in town. It's like it might actually be a reason why it's wrecked, like a full proper reason why this thing is never going back. So you got to be a little bit careful
for sure.
to sort of, just because something is down bad, that you don't just ape into it. That you still have to sort of,
that's right. It depends how you've curated your watch list.
Yeah, you still have to believe in those coins. You still have to believe that that coin will be worth more in the future. Like, it's not just the fact that it's down. It shouldn't be enough of a reason to buy. But it's kind of like when you do liquidity providing, it's like you can get impermanent loss, but if you actually believe in those two coins and you want to accumulate those coins over time, then it doesn't matter so much that you get more of one coin than another, because you actually believe in them. But if you're doing LP with coins that you don't believe in, and you end up getting one side of the pair that's really shit, that coin is like getting wrecked, then you haven't won, like you've lost. So
exactly.
There's a fine line there. But I think what you're doing is that you're actually, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you are actually only buying coins that you believe in long term that are down bad. So that's slightly different from just buying indiscriminately coins that are down bad.
No, that's
cool.
Yep, exactly. Curated list.
That's it. Westgirl, does he really believe Elon Rich to spend? Yeah, I don't know if that's true, because like I was saying, Michael Saylor, whatever, but CZ, there'd be like 100 Saudis or like 1,000 people, that are maybe not 1,000, but there'd be hundreds of billionaires out there that can easily push the price of some of these things. And the concerning thing is that the biggest players like BlackRock or whatever, when they're buying and they're putting in billions of dollars, they seem to be doing it through OTC. So over-the-counter trades they're not actually buying it on chain. They're not pushing the price up. So some of these guys, these institutions, are sort of backdoor buying, which is not pushing the price up. So you do actually need like the billionaire who just sort of thinks, well, hang on, there's only 21 million BTC. There's less than 21 million of us. Like, I got to buy a BTC, right? I got to buy. So they just fat finger buy, and then they just push the price up. So you need these guys. I think they're out there.
100%. Hey, there's something I've been thinking about as well with the way Bitcoin prices have been going. But what everyone needs to remember is that it's already past its all-time high. So anyone that round trip last time has had another opportunity to sell at a epic price. And if they're like some people that we can see selling Hex on the way up early, well, what we think would be early, people are doing that in Bitcoin right now. So that's the other side of it. There's still people that are happy to take profit now because it's at a damn good price for them. Well above the all-time high. So there's always another way to look at it, I guess.
Yep, good point. I think we'll see a lot of that going up. People will just cash out and they'll sell too early as well.
Yeah.
So that
for sure.
That's certainly the case.
I've got to get cruising in about 5 minutes, but I thought I'd ask you if you wanted to have a bit of a conspiracy thought of what you think RH's comeback might be, because surely it's sort of imminent, like not in days, but any idea, any thoughts?
I've thought about it a little bit. So I think once the 15 days that's left or whatever for the SEC to appeal the decision from the judge is up, I think now that there's a good opportunity for Richard to stream, and certainly, I think maybe his lawyers might sort of not perceive the Interpol thing as being enough of a reason not to stream. And in fact, I think he wasn't streaming before the Interpol thing came out, so it makes sense that maybe if he was being advised to not stream from his lawyers, it was because of the SEC thing. So if that's been dismissed, then there's no reason why he couldn't, apart from maybe doxing his whereabouts. So then maybe he has to do the whole green screen thing or do it as a Twitter space.
That'd be good.
I certainly think he could do that. But I think one of the good reasons. So obviously, people. I feel like I'm not trying to be too rude here, but I think all HEXicans know this, that RH likes to dunk on people. Like he likes to brag. So when the chart goes up, he will be more inclined to stream because he wants to be able to be proud of the chart and to say, look at this chart, look, it's gone up. And even if he's cherry picking data, to say it's gone up, 80% in this many days. And so he likes to do that. But one of the things that he's able to do is he's now able to brag that he beat the SEC, not that the case was dropped, but he actually, that the judge dismissed it, weighed up the arguments and then dismissed it in favor of RH. So that's like an important distinction, that they didn't just drop the case, but he won it. So that's like a good brag factor, right? He can come out now and be like bragging. So that would motivate him to stream.
Definitely.
I'm guessing. But really we need price go up for him to full come out in force and to be able to, even just cherry pick the data. I don't care if he wants to take it from the bottom and say, PulseChain is up, So what is it now? It's like 405. He could literally come back and say, it was at 40369. So like it's gone up, whatever it is, 50%. Like even if he did that, I don't care as long as he's streaming, because he's got a lot of other interesting things to say. So that's fine. It'd just be good to see him streaming again. But what do you think, man? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely keen for him to come out and just give a whole recap on everything that's happened in crypto, recently, and just in the whole sort of macro environment in general. But yeah, he's shout out to DJ Cryptomatic. I saw him in the chat, but the What the Hex show, Cabana was on this morning as well, and so they were basically saying that it's got to be, he's got one chance to do a big comeback tour, so, and he's going to make it big, and it's just how. So a good interview or getting this Interpol dropped first maybe will be what needs to happen, so then people can't have anything else to sort of rag on him about, because apart from that Interpol, there's nothing left. He was right about pretty much everything that's happened recently, and he wasn't a fraudster, he isn't, and all that sort of stuff which he was alleged for and held against for so long. So I think I don't know what, but it's going to be.
You just cut out. You're going strong and you just cut out. Oh no, you're back.
I think it would be good, amazing if he was at that crypto summit, but we all know that's not going to happen just yet. But yeah, something like that would be huge.
Yeah, look, I mean, RH has been around early Bitcoin days. He's an OG, Bitcoin OG. He knows more about this stuff. Like if you go back to these streams from 5 years ago, he's talking about things that we're only just figuring out now. So he's so far ahead of the game. It's not funny. So, and it's like, so we learn from him when he talks about, like, for example, knowing a private key or seed words, that you really just have access to moving funds on a ledger, like on a blockchain. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Whereas the notion of custody, I think people really get that confused as they sort of think that they are storing their wallet, their crypto in a wallet, and that they're storing it in an exchange. And you think, no, it's actually not that at all. Like it's just literally like you have the keys to move, to update the ledger. Like that's what it is. So for him to be able, I think he would be a very valuable resource. And because he's so smart and he knows about, all the litigious side of the lawyer sort of side of things, he would actually be quite valuable with the crypto summit and with the any regulatory framework that might need to be introduced in the US to sort of help them make some laws that actually make sense.
He'd be all over it, man.
Yeah, look, you've got to be careful with this wording, because you can't say this or that, because that's actually not how the blockchain works. Like,
Yeah.
And he knows about all the different protocols, you know, whatever, RFA and lending protocols and things like that. So he might be able to say, okay, well, you've got to be careful how you like from a tax point of view, how you set up this law, because it's not going to be enforceable or whatever. Like that whole the DEX law that they were going to bring in, that was going to make the DEXs report every transaction through a DEX. I mean, most of them would be bots, right? So how would that even work? Like, 100%. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, he would be very valuable to it. But yeah, it would be good to see his stream again, to hear his insights, especially when it comes to things like L2s, in the way that, you know, Arbitrum, Optimism base, you know, should really be paying their fair rent on Ethereum. Maybe some things that Ethereum can do, roll back proto-dank sharding, whatever it is. And also like highlighting like the risk with like this sequencer risk with L2s and sort of the centralization of the sequencer issue. I think that also happens with Solana as well. There's probably heaps of stuff that he could teach us about, because even like with Phantom Wallet, like the way how fast Phantom Wallet is, I think that they're not actually doing things on chain the way that we think they're doing it. Yeah, because they're way faster than the Radium and other things as well. So I think they may be doing some sort of like buffer thing where they're like putting in enough fees that they put the transaction into a pool and then they do it on chain. That's why they can do it so fast in the wallet. Yeah, that would be my suspicion
of that too. Yep, something weird.
Yeah, so I reckon he might be able to be like, because I think Brett was talking about that once, and I was like, wait, what? And when you use Phantom Wallet, is it not actually doing it to the chain? Or maybe you have to check on SolScan and see if there's, because there's like a slight delay.
It's almost like a CEX, but still is blockchain. Like it eventually does it on the blockchain. It's a bit weird.
Just a little bit of a vulnerability there. I'm not sure if this is a joke. I thought Hex was a scam. It's like, yeah, bro, no. But I mean, look, everything's a scam. Like in let's just be clear. Everything's a Ponzi. Everything's a scam on a long enough time frame.
Yeah.
So the US dollar, the Australian dollar, these things are scams. They're Ponzi's. Eventually they will inflate, like, and their purchasing power will be worth less and less over time. And every business ever relies on more people, more throughput, more volume, and new users. Like,
exactly,
it's built like the whole world, like even our economies, the tax, and it requires more people to be born or immigrated so that they can get more tax. And I mean, even the banking system, man, they get like, $8 billion profit or whatever. Then they need more for the next year or the next quarter. It's like
exactly
everything. Yeah, it's all a scam. But once you realize that, then if everything's a scam, nothing's a scam.
Exactly.
So it's just about like,
it's about getting your mental state right on it and getting it. So
yeah.
Indeed.
So
hey,
I mean,
I got to get moving. But yeah, I'll leave you to it. And I was going to say, a bit like Jason Derulo tonight, just riding solo. You're doing bloody well, except when 43
I was going to.
On, so, yeah.
I appreciate you coming on, man, and appreciate 43, because I was fully prepared to go solo, and I was just basically going to go into the charts for like 2 hours. So it was much
awesome.
better to have someone to chat to. So thanks for coming on, man. Much appreciated.
Well done. No, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you chart some stuff. But yeah, just wanted to say, everyone, hope you have a good weekend, and anyone that's at the 369 like PulseChain tour, but yeah, they're having a good time up there as well in Las Vegas. So looks like a good time from the few things I've seen. So, but yeah, take it easy, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Of course. See you next week, True Blue. Thanks very much for coming on.
Chat to you soon, man. See ya.
See you, bro.
See you.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for coming on there, Big Rig and 43. Shout out to the guys. Yeah, I think Fast Abdul might be at the Vegas conference, and I think SJ RG3. There's got to be some big HEXicans there that you can. It might be too late. I don't know if it's actually happening or happened, but it's happening this weekend, I think. But yeah, check them out on X. SJ, a wild SJ. Yeah, check out her Twitter. DJ Cryptomatic, what is up? Top of the morning to you, sir. I saw you on RH Max. Shout out to RH Max as well. Legend, absolute champions. I saw you guys the other day. That was a fun stream. What is going on here? Thought from Whale Panda on the current market. It's pretty incredible that we were at 69K 4 years ago without ETFs, without the strategic reserve, and all those things, and we're only at 87K. Yeah, we've got a lot of good news. A lot of good news and not a lot of price action up. So it's hopefully like that Somi analogy that he talks about with the beach ball under the water and it just being suppressed, and then eventually when it comes up, it just goes. It does feel like there's something holding it back. I suspect it's the big buyers, the dollar volume buyers, are all OTC at this point. So I think that's the problem. It's not real crypto if you're just sort of making deals in the background. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing. Oh, that was my screen wasn't sharing. Hopefully I fixed that. I want to see a big time interview like a Tucker Carlson. Yeah, big time. Far out. That would, yeah. I remember when Roger Ver was doing that interview with Tucker Carlson, and I was like, Roger Ver. I always want to say Roger Ver because I think is it Ver, the way he pronounces it. I feel like the RH interview with Tucker Carlson would go along similar lines, and there's a lot of overlap there. So if Tucker Carlson thought that was good enough, to talk about, which obviously it is, then I don't see why he wouldn't want to talk to Richard. What is up, Tin Top? What's up? What's up? All right. So I guess I should do some charts real quick. This will also be a good opportunity for me to look at some charts because I haven't really been paying much attention. So yeah, I think we talked about, the meme coin like Pepe on Ethereum would probably go up once Ethereum goes up, just like really like PulseChain and everything else. With some of these coins, you really have to price them in the asset of their native chain. So say, for example, if you're looking at WIF, you would want to look at WIF versus Sol. And really, if you want to, compare everything to BTC, because otherwise you kind of, you might be confusing yourself if you think that something's going up, but really it's just Bitcoin pulling it up. So what I wanted to quickly look at was, so the Dixie, this is the strength of the US dollar versus other currencies. This is actually what we want to see, is the Dixie bleeding down, because historically, when the strength of the US dollar goes down, the stock market goes up. And if the stock market goes up, BTC goes up, BTC goes up, ETH goes up. And if ETH goes up, everything else goes up. So it's just like a long-winded way of saying, like, this is actually what you want to see. You don't want to see a really strong US dollar. And that's what we have seen. But, it depends on whether you believe that meme. But this is certainly what a lot of people believe. So yeah, to see it crash below the 20 MA on the daily and sort of into this downtrend here, if we can get the Dixie below 100, I think would be crazy. But yeah, we shall see. The S&P 500 has unfortunately been getting wrecked since sort of mid-Feb. So this is because of the tariffs thing. Basically, everyone was. It's not so bad if you put it on log. So yeah, everyone was kind of spooked with the US tariffs. But one thing is, on the daily, it closed below the 10 MA. It's below the 200-day simple moving average as well. I would be very surprised if it closed below that. I think that's just going to be a wick. I think it's going to bounce. I think it's going to bounce off this 200-day. Maybe if you stick it on a week, it doesn't look so bad. Geez, yeah, it's going to need to recover pretty quick, because if the S&P 500 starts getting wrecked, like it's over. Like where, you know, I'm not saying you lost your money, but you lost your money. Oh, the Trayvon joke. Sorry, too soon. Yeah, S&P 500 on the weekly, that's bad, but it's done it before and it wicked straight back up. So let's give it a couple of weeks before we no, I won't make any jokes that I could get banned on YouTube for. But yeah, so let's see. My prediction is it's going to bounce off the 200-day MA. So, but yeah, that's not terribly great. Total 2 has been wrecked. Total 2 versus BTC is kind of going sideways though, because BTC has been fairly wrecked. So this is my sort of altcoin indicator, Total 2 versus BTC, and couldn't find support here. So that must be on a weekly support. Yeah, so if we can get back above this 12.9 million, that would be good to see. And it might be also depending on how the market interprets this altcoin stockpile. If they think that they're going to take all of these altcoins, like on all these different chains, like we're talking, there might be a whole bunch of BNB, there might be a whole bunch of AVAX, there might be, you know, Polygon, and they're going to sell it all and buy ETH and Sol, then basically it's going to make the ETH others ratio go up and the Sol others ratio go up. So then I wonder how that will affect Total 2, because it's the same amount of money. But it doesn't really matter as long as ETH BTC goes up, because ETH BTC is just, it's a crime scene. So yeah, Fatal needs to get his postcard game on. But yeah, if you look at all of these other ones, this is Matic versus BTC, Rect, AVAX versus BTC. Oh no, this is Aave. I think Gary was talking about Aave could be a good play right now, because depending on what this altcoin stockpile might buy, Funny Jim, shout out to Gary, he was saying maybe Aave could be one to look into. I know Ondo Finance is one that the World Liberty Fi guys have got in there if you look in their wallets. But that chart looks fairly wrecked as well, to be fair. So I think Ondo is like a real world asset sort of style. But yeah, all right, let's have a look at the PulseChain ecosystem. So hopefully you guys can see this. Let me know in the chat if you can't. But yeah, so this is Pulse here on the 4-hour. Let's have a look at on the daily. So we're just sort of sitting above this support here, making higher lows. Got some wicks. I think it's just sort of going sideways, really, sitting around this 40. Yeah, I mean, it's 40369. It literally is. So this is just like a meme, because it's chain 369. It's the inflation rate 3.69%, but it's literally like support sitting at 40368. and it wicked down to it. So yeah, hopefully it can make higher highs from here. So then I guess what we want to do is we just want to have a look at the ratios between some of these. So, oh damn, HEX down 10% for the day. Shit. Shout out to Tangent. Absolute legend, all-round good guy. Often misunderstood. But yeah, good legend. And I learned a lot from Tangent. So shout out to him. But yeah, down 10% for the day. That sucks. But let's just look at the HEX on PulseChain versus Pulse. Still sitting around that 277 pulse per hex. That is crazy. Every time I look at this chart, man, it's 277 pulse per hex. Like literally wicks down or whatever, but invariably when I come back to it. So yeah, I guess that's a good region to be in. I really want to look at the PulseX chart. So if you put PulseX priced in Pulse, let's get this shit out of the way. PulseX has been outperforming Pulse something cruel. And as a ratio, it is currently at 0.97 pulse per PulseX. Isn't that crazy that it's at parity? Like literally. So people who rotated into PulseX when it went above the all-time high, like PulseX to Pulse ratio, and like retested it and just killed it. Like it I mean, I could forgive people for not buying it down here, but like really from here, oh, it's done a 2x. You could have 2x your bags if you had big brass balls and rotated in on that retest of all-time high. God damn. All right. Cool. So what else? What's EHEX doing? Because that has been pumping. Hex from Ethereum. So this is because, you know, Uniswap, Matcha have relisted it, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's making higher highs. So that's interesting. It's the 0036. Man, I can't escape this 369 number, hey. But definitely making higher highs there. So yeah. Now let's put it in terms of hex. So this is EHEX versus hex. Oh wow. So Johnny Chaos, got to say, he's certainly right that the ratio has gone back up. It's now 0.34 hex per EHEX. It could be higher though. Like it's still pretty low. Like considering, you know, I mean, when PulseChain launched, it was above. It was literally like, it was higher. It was like I'm pretty sure it was 3 EHEX, like 3 hex per EHEX or something like that. Like it was crazy. Or maybe it was 2. I think maybe it was 2 or 1.5 or something. I can't remember now. Not enough sleep. But yeah, it certainly is in an uptrend. So people maybe just perceive it as being just too cheap. Like EHEX has just been oversold. I wonder if we look at the RSI. Yeah, where's the RSI on this? Oh, actually, the RSI is high. There you go. Oh, but on daily. Ooh, okay. The RSI is high. I'm going to just do some confirmation bias and say, even though I thought the RSI was going to be low, it's high. So let's just ignore that. But yeah, it's like, you know, you always want to have, I guess, a moon bag of everything, you know, just in case, except ink. No, but like, I know I give a lot of people shit about ink because it's like PulseX has got the buy and burn and ink has got the inflate and sell. But ever since the inflation has completely dropped, like the emission rate dropped by like whatever it was, 40x or something. It went from like one ink per second to 0.03 ink per second or something like that. Then yeah, there's going to be less of it in the future. So, but in saying that, let's have a look at the ink PLSX chart. Yeah, so this is it. This is ink was getting wrecked against PLSX. Then this was then with the emission rate changed, and now it's broken that structure as well. So yeah, I probably shouldn't keep shitting on ink. I don't know why I do it. It's probably just bag bias. Are there any memes that are worth checking out? I can probably, I just started randomly adding these. I don't know about these. Let's look at PokeCenter. I mean, everything's going to be down because Pulse is down. Squirtle is up 8% and Mudkip 24%. There's 4 people buying it. Oof. PRC20s. Oh, whatever happened to the PDI guys? The Tropar is down 13% for the day. Rat BTC. Oh man, $539. Damn. I feel like that kind of got wrecked a little bit with the pump tire stuff because people were like, if Richard was really behind the PDI stuff, then he just created another DAI meme coin. Yeah, that was bad optics. And maybe because those guys also, they made a lot of claims that didn't come true. That's the other reason. All right, let me just quickly look. I think a lot of systems are dying, to be honest. Let's have a look here. I think Titan X. Yeah. I read a tweet from HEXMckenzie, or just now Mackenzie, that was saying that people were rotating out of Titan X back into the Hex ecosystem after the trial. Maybe that would be good, unless you're a Titan X holder. But you know, why not both? As long as they both go up. I thought it was ironic that people were saying they needed Jake to stream again. And I was just like, fuck. We've created like a nested loop where we've like got like a founder that doesn't stream, and then if like an offshoot created another like coin, and then that founder's not streaming, and it's like, anyway, maybe we're just destined to do this for eternity. That's so funny. I wanted to look at the pump tires coins. So in terms of liquidity, most is the highest, down 12%. Let's quickly look at this chart, and then I'm going to wrap this up. There's the real Cardano and PulseChain. There's the, oh yeah, that's right. I was going to talk about this. The Sol on PulseChain has got the wrecked Wojak. That's funny. Where is it? Oh, it's right at the top. So yeah, this is actually the one I'm most interested in. So this is the fake JPEG DAI. Oh, it's up 18%. What the fuck? That doesn't look right. Oh, on the 4 hour. It's a red candle. So this is up 18%. Okay. Long story short, JPEG DAI might be bottoming. I could put maybe averages on it and things like that, but I'm not going to bother. I like that the Sol guy on Sol on PulseChain is like wrecked. Maybe a little too wrecked. Jesus. That's too much. You went too far. Too far, guys. Too far. What about the real Cardanzo on PulseChain? They should have just called it Cardanzo. Missed opportunity. It's like my prop gavel. Yeah, it looks wrecked. Hopefully it'll come back. Not a lot going on. What about most? Oof. Let's go on the daily. The hell did I put a giant fib on that for? Not sure. Put it on log. No, sir, I don't like it. That's a Ren and Stimpy joke. Lower lows. That's it. It's all looking pretty shit, but you know, you got to buy when there's blood in the streets, even if that blood is your own, and even when the fear index I think we're talking about is so low. So it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like you got to do like big rig and do the opposite of your emotions, and sometimes just buy the fear. And so yeah, if you can, do what you got to do, but keep grinding, keep stacking, and good to see you guys in the chat. Clintrons, check the snake, probably just scared RH might come back. Maybe. G'day McNuggets. Oh, that's a good way to end. But yeah, hope you guys have a good weekend. Hope peeps on the eastern states like Brisbane are okay with this cyclone. And yeah, hope everyone enjoys the PulseChain conference, whatever that's going on. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, 43. Thanks, Big Rig. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks, chat. Thanks, Replay Gang. Rock on.